Good morning. This is a conversation between Anne-Lise Scaillierez, the CEO of ARPAS-UK, the UK Drone Association, and Elena Major, the Head of Operations here. We are here to discuss the consultations in UAS regulations that have happened recently. Anne-Lise, the CAA launched a consultation on the review of the UK UAS regulations recently. The consultation closed in January, as we know. It was a follow-up to a previous initial consultation that ran during the summer of 2023. What's the impact of those consultations?
Morning, Elena. So yes, we had two consultations on the UAS regulation here in the UK. And I think it's fair to say that consultations are here to help the CAA decision makers inform their decisions. But those decisions may or may not entirely reflect the outcome of the survey, of course. So it's important to keep that in mind through our conversation today.
Okay. If we step back and consider those two consultations, what are the main takeaways that we can, and what can we derive from those consultations?
I think that overall, the consultations were focusing on the open category, and on the idea that we could try and simplify the regulations as well as improve safety and security. I guess the feedback will be in the direction of evolution rather than revolution, because a lot of people are now used to the different subcategories within the open category. So maybe we will see some of the CAA proposals taking shape. For example, the renaming of the subcategories A1, A2, A3 to over, near, and far from people. Also, there is a proposal to remove the exclusion of the reference to toys and just reference back to drones of less than 250 grams. So I think that in the open category, some of these simplifications could take place. And I think the main takeaway from, at least on my end, is the reference again to class marking of drones. If you remember, there was a postponement of the transition period that was in effect, I think, December 2022, if my memory is correct. And I think it's a great positive news that in the consultation, reference is made again to class marking, because that is really the main enabler to all the privileges behind the different open subcategories. So our position on class marking is that we're happy that there is a UK version of it, like a UK label, as long as in the end it is just as aligned as possible with other jurisdictions like the EU. Not so much because we want to be aligned with a specific jurisdiction versus another, but it's to make sure that there are drones available that would fit into the bill. We don't want to implement class marking and then realize that no drone manufacturers would market the products in the UK because they cannot meet the UK labels.
That's very positive. And in terms of the specific category, what are the main takeaways from this consultation?
So, as mentioned earlier, the open category was probably the main focus, but we can still mention the following. The first point is that the DISCO project, which is a digitization of the operational approval application for PDR01, should become live pretty soon now. I think it's planned for the first week of April. The second point is that the consultation refers to the transition to a new safety methodology called SORA, which is a methodology developed by a group of international aviation authorities and experts called JARIS. And within that transition, there will be an evolution in the regulatory framework, namely the reliance primarily on the acceptable means of compliance and guidance material rather than the CAP 722H series. So we can expect that there would be a merger, possibly, of those two documentation, which in itself is good news, because one of the main issues was too many documents in too many different places. So one document is good as long as it's not the opportunity for more conservative positions, of course. But I guess that if that is indeed happening, the phasing out of CAP 722 will be a major change and would require a transition for current operators.
Are there any other takeaways from this consultation, for example, in terms of security?
Yeah, one of the key elements put forward in the context of these consultations was the evolving safety and security risks of the UAS market, quoting some data that have been challenged by the community in terms of police reports and airspace infringements. I mean, regardless, I think it's fair to say that as we grow, de facto there will be more infringements just because the population is larger. So, in terms of the proposals put forward, a number refer to security. The first one is more education, including for drone pilots of the smaller drones, sub 250 grams. It's free online training, so we welcome the idea. The consultation also included a proposal on remote ID, on geo-awareness and geofencing. Remote ID is now implemented in the US and in Europe. So even though it's a very contentious topic, there is no alignment between different parties, including among our members. I think the best is to actually wait for return of experience in both the US and Europe to see what works and what doesn't. Geo-awareness is just information in a way on the ground control station about the position of the drone, and it's a mature feature. We would welcome it. Whereas geofencing, we are more reluctant in terms of implementing geofencing at this stage because the solutions on the market are not necessarily very mature.
Okay, well, thank you very much for taking us through what the consultations mean for the UK UAS industry, and I welcome anyone who would like to get in touch with Anne-Lise if they would like to contact her to do so. That would be good. Okay, well, thank you very much then. Goodbye.
Thank you.